Stop worrying, trust God to take care of you. Powerful C.S. Lewis insights. In this video, we dive deep into the timeless wisdom of C.S. Lewis and explore the powerful message of trusting God in every aspect of our lives. If you've ever felt weighed down by worry or overwhelmed by the challenges life throws your way, this message is for you. We'll discuss how letting go of control and surrendering our anxieties to God can bring us true peace and freedom. Join me as we explore profound insights on faith, trust, and God's unwavering care for us. Don't miss this life-changing encouragement. Let's start the journey together. C.S. Lewis provides a powerful reminder of the importance of trusting in God daily. He highlights that our reliance on God isn't something we can do once and forget about, it is an intentional act of faith that must be renewed each day. Lewis suggests that worry and anxiety often stem from a fundamental struggle within us, a desire to control areas of life that are, in fact, beyond our reach. This lack of trust in God's ability to manage the details of our lives manifests as worry, subtly reflecting our reluctance to surrender control to Him. When we allow ourselves to be consumed by anxiety, it's as though we are telling God that, while we might appreciate everything He has done up until now, we prefer to handle the future on our own. This is a deeply flawed and burdensome approach to life. The need to control things that are meant for God alone not only weighs us down but also robs us of the peace that could be ours through faith in His plan. Essentially, anxiety is an attempt to take over God's role in our lives, which is not only exhausting but impossible. Lewis's insights point us toward a liberating truth: we were never designed to carry these burdens. Anxiety serves as a warning sign that we are stepping outside of our human limitations, taking on responsibilities that were never meant to rest on our shoulders. This is why many of us find ourselves overwhelmed and depleted, trying to manage circumstances far beyond our capacity. The Bible speaks directly to this struggle in verses like 1 Peter 5 verse 7, which calls us to cast all your anxieties on Him because He cares for you. This is more than a simple piece of advice, it is a divine invitation to relinquish our worries and let God take control. By surrendering our concerns to God, we are reminded that He is not only capable of handling our lives but is also intimately invested in our well-being. He cares deeply for each of us, and His plans are far better than anything we could orchestrate on our own. The peace that comes from this surrender is profound. It frees us from the constant pressure of trying to predict and manage every detail of our lives, allowing us to rest in the assurance that God is always at work on our behalf. This daily act of trust is transformative. It reshapes the way we approach challenges and uncertainties. Instead of letting anxiety dominate our thoughts and actions, we can lean into the knowledge that God is in control. Trusting Him each day reminds us that we are not meant to handle everything on our own, and that's okay. In fact, there is great freedom in recognizing our limitations and allowing God to step into His rightful place as the sovereign caretaker of our lives. Ultimately, Lewis's message encourages us to shift our perspective from one of fear and control to one of faith and surrender. When we let go and trust God with the intricate details of our lives, we open ourselves up to the peace that only He can provide. Surrendering our worries and entrusting them to God is a profound act that leads to genuine freedom and peace. This concept is rooted in the understanding that holding on to anxieties only weighs us down, preventing us from experiencing the fullness of life that faith offers. When we cling to our worries, we are essentially trying to control situations that are often beyond our influence. This self-imposed burden can lead to stress, fear, and a sense of helplessness. The scripture from 1 Peter 5 verse 7, "Cast all your anxiety on Him because He cares for you," serves as a powerful reminder of God's unwavering love and concern for us. This verse isn't merely a suggestion, it's an invitation to release the heavy load we're carrying. It reassures us that we are not alone in our struggles and that God is both willing and able to handle the concerns that overwhelm us. His care is personal and intimate, understanding the depths of our hearts better than we do ourselves. Letting go of our worries doesn't mean we become passive or indifferent to life's challenges. Instead, it signifies a shift in how we approach these difficulties. By surrendering them to God, we acknowledge that His wisdom and power far exceed our own. This act of trust allows us to step back from the relentless pursuit of control and opens the door to peace that transcends human understanding. The freedom that comes from this surrender is multifaceted. Emotionally, it relieves us from the constant tension and anxiety that can erode our well-being. Mentally, it frees up space that was previously occupied by obsessive thoughts and fears, allowing for clarity and renewed perspective. Spiritually, it deepens our relationship with God, as we lean into His promises and find solace in His presence. Moreover, trusting God with our anxieties empowers us to live more fully in the present moment. Worry often ties us to the future, fixating on what might happen and trapping us in a cycle of what-ifs. By casting our cares upon God, we break free from this cycle, grounding ourselves in the here and now where we can be more attentive to His guidance and the needs of those around us. This process of surrender is not always easy. It requires humility to admit that we cannot manage everything on our own and faith to believe that God will act on our behalf. It might involve daily, even moment-by-moment decisions to hand over our fears. Prayer becomes a vital tool in this journey, serving as a conduit for communication with God where we can express our concerns and reaffirm our trust in Him. The peace that follows is not a fleeting emotion but a deep-seated assurance that God is in control. It allows us to face uncertainties with confidence, knowing that our lives are held in the hands of a loving Creator. This peace influences how we interact with others, respond to challenges, and make decisions. It becomes a testament to the transformative power of faith. In essence, surrendering our worries to God is both a relief and a revelation. It's a relief because it lifts the oppressive weight of anxiety from our shoulders. It's a revelation because it opens our eyes to the extent of God's care and the reality that we were never meant to bear our burdens alone. His invitation to cast our anxieties upon Him is a profound expression of His desire for a close, trusting relationship with us. By embracing this invitation, we embark on a path toward a more abundant life, one marked by peace, freedom, and a deeper connection with God. We learn that true serenity doesn't come from the absence of trouble but from the presence of God within our troubles. As we continue to surrender and trust, we experience the truth of His promise, that He cares deeply for us and is faithful to sustain us through all of life's seasons. Worry and trust often stand in direct opposition to each other, especially when it comes to our relationship with God. Worry is a natural human response to uncertainty, but it also reveals a deeper struggle, a lack of trust in God's ability to guide our lives and control the future. When we worry, we are essentially saying that we don't believe God's plan for us is enough, or that He is incapable of handling the complexities of our lives. This attitude of doubt not only robs us of peace but also keeps us from fully experiencing the love and care that God offers. At its core, worry stems from the desire to control our circumstances. We become fixated on trying to manage outcomes, believing that if we just plan well enough or prepare for every possible scenario, we can avoid negative consequences. But the reality is that life is unpredictable, and despite our best efforts, we cannot control everything. This constant striving for control becomes exhausting and leaves us feeling more anxious than ever. What we need is not more control, but more trust. Trusting in God, on the other hand, offers a different perspective. It requires acknowledging that we are not in control, and that's okay because God is. His wisdom and power surpass our understanding, and His plans for us are always for our good, even when we can't see the bigger picture. Trusting God doesn't mean we ignore life's challenges or pretend they don't exist, rather, it means we choose to rely on Him as we face them, confident that He is walking with us through every situation. One of the biggest misconceptions about trust is that it is passive. Trusting God is actually an active process of surrendering our fears and anxieties to Him, often on a daily basis. It means consciously deciding to hand over the areas of our lives that we cannot control and believing that God will handle them in His perfect timing. This kind of trust invites us to live in peace, knowing that we are cared for by a loving Father who is intimately involved in every detail of our lives. The Bible repeatedly encourages believers to trust in God and not lean on their own understanding. Proverbs 3 verses 5 to 6 tells us to trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways submit to Him, and He will make your paths straight. This scripture reminds us that our own understanding is limited, but God's understanding is limitless. When we trust Him, we allow Him to guide our steps and direct our future. True peace and happiness can only be found in this kind of trust. When we surrender control and stop trying to orchestrate every aspect of our lives, we make room for God's peace to enter. This peace, as Philippians 4 verse 7 describes, surpasses all understanding. It's a deep, abiding sense of calm that comes from knowing that no matter what happens, God is in control, and His love for us is unchanging. In contrast, worry blinds us to this peace. It keeps us trapped in a cycle of fear, anxiety, and doubt. Instead of focusing on the present and trusting God with the future, we get caught up in what-ifs and worst-case scenarios. However, when we choose trust over worry, we shift our focus from our limitations to God's infinite power and grace. We open ourselves to experiencing the fullness of life that God desires for us, one filled with peace, joy, and assurance in His perfect plan. In summary, worry is a sign of distrust in God's plan, while trust frees us from the need to control life's outcomes. By placing our faith in God's ability to handle the future, we open the door to true peace and happiness that can only come from Him. God's care for us is constant, unfailing, and deeply personal, much like the comfort a loving parent offers to a frightened child. In moments of fear and uncertainty, a child instinctively turns to their parent for safety, trusting in their protection and love. Similarly, God invites us to turn to Him with the same trust, knowing that His care for us is unwavering, no matter the circumstances we face. In the challenges and hardships of life, it's easy to feel overwhelmed, isolated, or unsure of what the future holds. But just as a child finds peace in the arms of their parent, we can find true peace in the presence of God. He understands our struggles, our worries, and our pain, and He calls us to release these burdens to Him. This act of surrender isn't a sign of weakness but rather a recognition of His strength and our need for His guidance and love. God's invitation to surrender our burdens is a powerful one, especially in difficult times. When life feels overwhelming, we often try to carry the weight of the world on our shoulders, believing that we must figure everything out on our own. But God reminds us that we were never meant to bear these burdens alone. His care is ever present, and His love provides the security we seek in times of distress. In Matthew 11 verse 28, Jesus says, "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." This is a beautiful reminder that God's care is not conditional on our strength or ability, but on His endless compassion. When we surrender our worries to Him, we experience a sense of peace and comfort that can only come from trusting in God's perfect plan. His care is not fleeting or limited, it is constant, always there to provide support, strength, and comfort, even in the darkest moments. Just as a parent never abandons their child in fear, God remains steadfast and present, offering us security and reassurance. In times of uncertainty, we can find rest in the knowledge that God's love is ever present and that He invites us to trust in His unfailing care. By releasing our burdens to Him, we open ourselves to the peace and security that only He can provide. Worry about the future often consumes our minds, pulling us away from the present and draining us of the strength we need to navigate today's challenges. It's easy to get caught in a cycle of what-ifs, constantly thinking about potential problems or hardships that may or may not occur. This focus on future uncertainties robs us of the peace, joy, and purpose that are available to us right now. When we are preoccupied with the future, we become less present, less capable of handling the tasks, relationships, and opportunities of today. C.S. Lewis powerfully reminds us that this kind of worry is misplaced. God's plans for us are far greater than we can imagine, and His timing is perfect. By trying to control or anticipate the future on our own, we miss out on the peace that comes from trusting in His wisdom and care. Instead of worrying about tomorrow, Lewis encourages us to focus on the present, the only moment in which we can truly experience God's grace and guidance. Jesus himself emphasized the importance of living in the present when he said, "Do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will worry about itself. Each day has enough trouble of its own." Matthew 6 verse 34. This verse reminds us that God provides us with the strength and grace we need for today. When we shift our focus from worrying about the unknown future to trusting in God's provision for the present, we unlock a sense of peace that allows us to live fully in the moment. Trusting God with the future means recognizing that His plans are better than anything we could come up with on our own. Even when we don't know what lies ahead, we can have hope because we know that God sees the bigger picture and is working for our good. C.S. Lewis once said, "There are far, far better things ahead than any we leave behind." This statement encourages us to trust that what God has in store for us is beyond what we can envision, and it invites us to let go of fear and embrace hope. When we put our faith in God's plan, we experience a renewal of peace each day. This daily renewal comes from placing our confidence in His love and sovereignty. It doesn't mean that we won't face difficulties or that life will always go as planned, but it means we can face whatever comes our way with a sense of calm and assurance that God is in control. His plans are perfect, even when we don't fully understand them in the moment. By focusing on the present and trusting in God's future for us, we free ourselves from the anxiety that comes with trying to predict or control what's ahead. Instead of allowing worry to sap our strength, we find new energy in knowing that God is guiding our steps. This trust not only brings us peace but also opens us up to see and appreciate the blessings and opportunities that are right in front of us. In essence, worry about the future prevents us from living fully in the present, but trust in God renews our peace daily. By focusing on today and trusting God with tomorrow, we can walk confidently, knowing that His plans are for our good and far greater than anything we can imagine. Lewis's wisdom reminds us that there is always hope when we put our trust in the one who holds the future in His hands.